Welcome back again. So today, this video, I'm going to be replacing the clutch cable. So as you can see, this is loose. I already popped this off without thinking about filming it. This is kind of held in pretty tight by these four little knobs on the end of the plastic. If you have an adjustable clutch quadrant, you need to get rid of this. So what I did is I just simply locked the metal piece into the vise and just pulled on this, and it came right out. So that is trash. Don't need a lot of tools for this, especially if you have an adjustable clutch quadrant. I'm not going to show you underneath the dash where it hooks into the quadrant. If you don't have a firewall adjuster, it might make it a little bit harder, but right here, I'm actually going to have to get my flashlight because that's kind of dark. Hang on. Okay, maybe this will be better. So, firewall adjuster. First thing I'm going to do is loosen that by threading it, threading the round piece right here clockwise towards the firewall. That'll loosen the cable to where I should be able to pull it off the quadrant, which this is the piece that rides on the quadrant hook. And once I loosen it, it should just flop off. That should allow the cable, the whole cable itself, to pull out. There's also a bolt right down here that holds the bracket so it keeps it off the header. Got to undo that bolt. I think that's a 3/8, if I remember right. Maybe a 10mm, I don't remember. Then, got to crawl up under the car. And, try to show this. There's a snap ring right here, which has to come out. Pop that out, and once this cable's loose, this will flop out and come out. Then you just gotta feed it through. Feed it through and run the new one. Then once you get the new one installed, it's just a matter of starting the car, running it, adjusting the firewall adjuster until the free play back and forth on the throwout bearing starts. That's pretty much it. So let me get started and get set up, and I'll be back. Well, the old clutch cable is out. I ended up having to cut it because the position of the firewall adjuster was such a way that I could not maneuver it to thread it in to loosen the cable. It kind of felt like it was canted. I didn't know how much thread I had left, or had, that was actually in there, and I didn't want to cross thread it and strip it. So I cut the old cable. Once I did that, I cut it down below where it was easily visible. Once I did that, it popped out of the transmission, and I just pulled it up through, and the cable actually just fell out and whatnot. So I'm going to thread this back in real quick, and I'm going to thread it in as far as it'll go. I also cleaned it off, cleaned the threads out. That way it would, there was gunk and stuff inside the threads. But I'm gonna, because I bought an adjustable clutch quadrant, or clutch cable, I'm gonna run that in as far as it'll go, which I just did. That way I have more adjustability in it down the road. But all that's left, I'm gonna basically run the transmission end down, feed it down through. It goes between the oil filter and the engine mount. It goes below the engine mount and then to the transmission. So I'm going to feed that through real quick, and then I will be back. Okay, you can see how it's routed. It's in. Got the snap clip in. This is obviously very loose because the cable's not connected on that end, on the firewall end. So now, gonna come under here, or come up here. Pull this cable through into the firewall, which I need access to that. And when these cables are this is the problem with cables, that when they're wound up in tight packaging, they develop a memory. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to pry on this for a few minutes, try and get it to straighten out. I'm also gonna go ahead and sand these little knobs off, make it go in a little easier. Anyway, I'm gonna do that and I'll be back. So it's in there. Now I need to get this bolted up back in this hole here. There's a alignment slot for it, and then the bolt, which I'm not going to be able to do with one hand. Try and get this to line up. Also, it's kind of okay. It is a 8mm socket or bolt head, whatever. And the main purpose of it is to keep the cable off the exhaust. Case in point, my Cobra doesn't have a bolt mounting it, just because I've just never got around to doing it, and it doesn't go anywhere near the header on that car. This car, it would. Okay. So it's bolted down in there. Now I'm going to go back under the car and loosen it because I need to get some slack for the interior side, which is already loose. So I'm going to leave it loose like that for now until I get it on the clutch quadrant, which I don't know if I can even get this up in here to show y'all. Try and get this up in there. Okay, I think that's set. I'm trying to look at the back side of my screen to find it, and this is really difficult. So basically there's because it's an adjustable, not an adjustable, but it's an aftermarket clutch quadrant. It has two hooks, and you want to you basically gotta feed it in between the valley of the hooks like this. Like if my fingers were the hooks in the valley, you'd want to latch it to where it's like that. It's really hard to describe, and I don't think I can get my camera up in there. But that's what I'm going to do next, is get it on the clutch quadrant, then I'll pull it tight down below, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned. Do my best to show this. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so that's the end of the cable right there. There's the clutch quadrant. So it's in there. Now I gotta go below, and once I get the cable hooked in, I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so it's tight on this end, just a little bit of slop, so I can adjust that with the firewall adjuster. But I basically unthreaded. It wasn't quite enough cable to stretch it through the hole like you normally would and pull it over. So I just unthreaded the ferrule and the lock nut and just ran the threaded part through the shaft, or the hole that it would normally rest. Ugh. Anyway, then I took two 13mm wrenches, got these semi-tight, and locked the lock nut against the ferrule, or whatever you want to call that. So now all I gotta do is start it and adjust it. So let me get started and I'll be back. Okay, so here we are. I can't start the car right now because the battery's too low, but I ended up just adjusting it tight down below. There was a little bit of slop in the pedal. Now it's got tension pretty much from the start. And to finish this, you're gonna have to start the car. You can do it by feel, or you could do it by looking at the throwout bearing, make sure there's free play in it. But it's pretty tight now. All I'd have to do to adjust it from here is, once it's running, is if it needs to be tightened, I would go counterclockwise with the firewall adjuster, or loosen, go clockwise. It's pretty simple. So, hey, quick and easy, quick project down. I don't want in the books. So, until next time, I'll be back.